My name's Simon Davis. I'm the Gosport Inclusion Service User Rep Lead. I'm very passionate about service user involvement, partly because of my own journey as a service user in services for many years, and being involved as a service user rep during those years. So it's my passion to see other people come through and to gain the experience and skills that I was able to glean from my experiences. We've set up a number of forums in each hub, both across Hampshire, Buckinghamshire, Thurrock and Telford, so that service users can actually give their viewpoints as to what they would like to see happen in the hub and to give their feedback. We're very fortunate to have a regional South lead in Mark Poindester that's very passionate about service user involvement. And along with Grace Massanuka, they've set up the National Forum. We wanted to make a series of videos to explain what we've been up to with service user involvement over the last couple of years or so. So we've set up local forums in each hub. So not just in Hampshire, but also Buckinghamshire, Telford and Thurrock, where service users can come and give feedback as to what's going on in their service and hopefully input into the service delivery and work in partnership with the inclusion staff there. This is then fed back into the governance meetings and hopefully dealt with locally, so that local issues are dealt with in-house. There's also regional meetings and national forum meetings as well. Previously they were in Stafford, the National Service User Rep Forums, but more recently have been online, and hopefully we've responded as an organisation to the current crisis by actually increasing the numbers of meetings and continuing to gain the feedback from service user reps and service users. We've also rolled out a series of training courses for the service user reps to help them gain the experience and skills that they need, looking at the history of service user involvement and also any barriers, and also looking at how to set up a successful forum, and looking at things like personal boundaries and and other ways to gain funding for other ventures, but also things like attending meetings, how to take minutes, how to chair a meeting, how to apply for funding for things like advocacy, if that's the road they wish to go down. So hopefully it's armed people with the skills and confidence to go into their roles, or to indeed to transfer those skills into the workplace should they wish to do so. So Mark Poindester, regional lead South, has set up the National Forum with Grace Massanuka, and that has actually input into national strategy and national delivery on things like the Service User Charter. We've also had guest speakers from a range of different organisations, both within the trust and outside of the trust. So I hope you enjoy this series of interviews with service user rep leads and other vested interest parties, and I'll leave it there. I have with me today Leslie, who's come to join us. He's a long-standing member of the Service User Forum, and he's come and agreed to answer some questions. So Leslie, welcome.
Welcome, it's nice to be here.
So Leslie, so you've been a member for quite a number of months now, must be coming on for about a year. So what led you to get involved in service user involvement, and what keeps you involved?
I always had an interest in trying to be a little bit scientific about the way in which we got ourselves into the problems we got ourselves into.
Mm.
As a result of that, I've been talking to a lot of people and with staff and other users, and it seems quite useful to actually be involved on a slightly higher level than just turning up and going through the motions once every few days or whatever it is.
Mm. So yeah, i.e., I guess it's better to work in partnership. Do you think that that's something that Inclusion do well? Do they work in partnership with their clients?
I think so. I think increasingly they are becoming that way inclined. I think it's good that there is an encouragement to attract certain people towards being service user representatives, in terms of getting them to help and getting them to think about the way in which they can contribute to the general improvement in the well-being of people, of the clients in general. That of course includes themselves, and it includes the people they talk to.
Yeah, excellent. And do you feel that you've been listened to?
Yes, on a number of occasions, I'm sure I've been listened to. Certainly within the user forum, everybody listens. We all listen to each other. But amongst other users who we meet in the groups, I think sometimes that is more difficult, but at the same time, you can contribute in that environment, and I have done on a number of occasions. That sometimes it is better done on a sort of one-to-one basis, or in general conversation at a quiet time when you're able to talk to someone over a cup of coffee or whatever.
And with these occasions with staff, you said that you have felt listened to. Do you think that it's actually led to effective change on the ground and change in service delivery?
Well, I think it's an ongoing process of development, especially with the virus. The development of online groups and online communication has obviously had to take place because of circumstances. And I think it's meant everybody thinks a lot more, everyone's focused on actually trying to provide a forum for assistance in the way which replaces all the direct contact that used to take place.
Excellent. Thank you, Leslie, for joining us today, and I wish you all the very best.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
I have with me today Tony Burkett, who's the volunteer coordinator for the Isle of Wight Inclusion Service. Welcome, Tony.
Hello.
So I've invited Tony here today because I know he's very passionate about service user involvement, both with the volunteers and the service user reps, and they have a thriving service user rep and volunteer programme over on the island, despite inclusion only being in place for some 18 months now. So Tony, why are you so passionate about service user involvement?
Well, I think it's really important because as a service, we need to know how we're doing, because it's the service user's service. And if we don't know how we're doing, then we can't adjust. Whether we're doing good, then we keep the stuff, or whether we're not doing so well in areas, then we can improve on that, providing we know where we're going wrong. And without the service user and service user rep involvement, we wouldn't have that information. So it's really important that we have things like Feedback Friday. The service users reps meet up and go off to the meetings and feedback how we're doing, and then that information can come to us. And also service user reps come into governance meetings and things. You know, we can actually then hear how we're doing, how other services are doing. We feel sort of unity then between other hubs and things like that, because we're hearing what they're up to. So I think with all that information that we get, then we can make the changes, whether we change for the good, and then anything we aren't getting quite right, then we can change that and improve our service for our service users ultimately. So my passion is based on that, and I've personally been involved with volunteering myself, so I've come sort of up through that channel. it was with a different company, and then when when inclusion took over on the Isle of Wight, and I see the what they offered the service user reps and the volunteers, I was just gobsmacked, because it's such an amazing pathway, and to be part of that, and where I've sort of come from myself, is an absolute honour, and I'm very, very passionate in being involved with that, and I'm very fortunate to be where I am at the moment, to see people grow and to see people move forward with their recovery and be part of our service. They're part of our family, and ultimately that means we deliver a better service to our service users, which is amazing.
Yeah, and that's the aim, isn't it? So would you say you've seen an increase both in the quantity and perhaps even the quality of feedback, both through the forums and through carer opinion feedback, because of service user involvement?
Massively, yeah. I mean, we've got some really passionate service user reps who go above and beyond with getting that care opinion out there, getting the Feedback Friday up and running. And they also do things like games and coffee and chill and chat, really, before the weekends. So it's so important. And the people who want to get involved, really early on in their recovery, they see our service user reps and our volunteers, and they want to be involved in that. And the current service user reps we've got, they really get involved with the service user, and they bring them into that fold, and it's really good. And the passion and the commitment that they show to our service is something else. It really is.
Excellent. Yeah, and it's contagious, isn't it? That recovery is contagious, and they're positive role models for others to aspire to. And what do you see the future for service user involvement within inclusion?
Well, I think the way it's taken off here, I think it's going to continue to grow, because there's already people who are sort of waiting. Obviously, the services are in a peculiar position at the moment with the sort of COVID stuff going on, and the service is looking very different. But I know when sort of post-COVID is sort of, we're at that point where we can allow people to sort of get back involved, and we can open up for some groups and things. I know people are dying to get involved, and we will support them with that. And our existing service user reps and volunteers will sort of support them in getting involved with us, and then we will support as well at the same time. And I mean, with regards to volunteers at the moment, I've had to sort of cap and put a few people on hold, because people just want to get involved with our service. They want to come and volunteer for us. And the service user reps we've got, there's a couple who have just gone through the training online on Microsoft Teams, and they're ready to go. They're in constant contact with me, letting me know how they're doing and stuff. We'll be sort of looking at some group supervision or personal supervision as we move forward. We're just itching to go, really. But yeah, it's so positive. And I sat in on the training myself because I want to bring that to the Isle of Wight. So when we're up and running again, I'll be able to deliver that training over here, and get people involved with our service, get that feedback, get those care opinions, so we know what we can do to improve or what we're doing well, and grow on that. So it's really, really good, and I'm excited to see where we go next, because in 18 months of being inclusion on the Isle of Wight, the amount of changes and the amount of positive stuff we've done, it's really built our team and the people we work with in our service. It's amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it's really encouraging to see new service user reps on the online training recently, despite the fact that we've been under lockdown and a much reduced service face to face. So, testament to you guys over at Inclusion Isle of Wight for that.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thanks for joining me today, Tony, and I wish you all the best with growing the service user rep community over on the island.
Thank you
very much.
Appreciated.
With us today, Mark Poindester, Regional South Lead for Inclusion. And Mark has been integral into pushing forward the service user rep agenda both nationally, regionally and locally. I'd like to ask Mark a few questions today. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, Simon. Thanks for having me.
Hi. So why are you so passionate about service user involvement? What led you to get involved in this?
I guess I started consulting really actively with service users in around 2001. I initially used to go, I ran a consultation meeting in the service I was working in, and I initially used to go there and ask the service users to basically approve my ideas and approve the ideas of the team. And generally they did. And then I started to realise that wasn't really an appropriate use of consultation, and that really what we needed to do was to involve service users at the inception of new ideas, so that those ideas were still flexible enough for them to have a genuine impact. And through doing that, I found that the service user group got a whole bunch more engaged in their own treatment, and that they really did test our ideas and make them stronger. And so more recently, I've wanted to make sure that we try and do that systematically across the whole of inclusion, as opposed to simply having kind of pockets of excellence. And obviously yourself and the volunteer coordinators in Hampshire made a really big impact in helping us roll that out all across Hampshire and make sure it was happening. And now we've got the National Service User Forum, which we've had for probably about a year and a half, I think, and it's working quite well.
I understand that Steve Ellis initially set up in Hampshire the service user involvement mechanism as we have it now, the template, if you like. And we've tried to build on that in the last couple of years. And as you say, we've now got a national forum which feeds into national governance and hopefully has an impact on decision making at the highest level. Do you feel that we've truly achieved partnership working with our clients? Do you feel that the service user reps really are listened to and it's not just tokenism?
I do. I think we've achieved that in some cases, and in some places. I do think there's still quite a way to go, but certainly the forum we have is very vibrant. We've got a whole range of different types of lived experience in the forum, and people make a really genuine contribution to whatever we put in front of them. I think the real challenge is making sure that we put as much in front of them as possible in the right way. And whenever we give the representatives an opportunity to get genuinely involved in something, that they make an excellent contribution. But that takes time, it takes effort. It also takes an openness of mind in terms of bringing things to the forum that you are willing to change, as opposed to bringing things to the forum and say, hey guys, isn't this great?
Yes.
And we worked really closely, such as with Michelle Perrin quite recently on some of the inclusion workbooks around non-opiates and so on, and people with a lived experience of recovering from an addiction to non-opiates have brought a whole another dimension and level to the amount of detail and quality of that work. So it definitely has an impact, and it's a question of how we can do that in as many different ways as possible across the organisation.
Off the top of my head, I can think of a number of different projects and initiatives that the reps have been involved in. So, for example, the Service User Charter, drug testing and alcohol testing, as well as getting involved in the workbooks, but also the future plans and the future strategy of the whole of inclusion. I know Danny Haynes, head of inclusion, gets involved with the National Forum from time to time because he wants to check out his thinking and his ideas. He wants input from the service user reps into overarching strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, something I should probably mention that I think is important about the forum is that we try to make sure that we have people with lived experience in a range of different specialist areas, and to make sure that that lived experience is communicated into whatever the relevant piece of development work is within inclusion. So, for example, if we're doing something around domestic violence and alcohol, we've got someone with a lived experience of those issues in that group. It's not a simple question of having a service user rep. It's about the right expertise in the right places. And I think that makes people feel really valued, and people generally want to use their experience to help others, and to help others to learn from the mistakes that they've made and the challenges that they've overcome. And so getting that getting the right expertise into the right places makes a massive difference to the success of what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, one size doesn't fit all, and we work with so many different types of client and with a range of different issues. So yeah, I think that's really important, and that people with actual lived experience of that specific area should be consulted. Yeah, definitely. Do you think we've done enough under the lockdown and COVID period with actually responding to clients' needs and actually providing a basis for reps to continually be involved?
It's been challenging. I mean, when the lockdown first hit, we increased the frequency of our meetings and moved our meetings onto Teams, and we gave our reps quite a lot of technical support around how to access those meetings, and that's been successful. The forum is working well, although lots of our service users do have challenges in terms of accessing a reliable internet connection or the right hardware or the right software. But in addition to that, because the services are partially locked down or working under lockdown conditions, it's very difficult for the reps to be connected with other service users in their services. So things are quite challenging at the moment. The reps are really working with us and taking some creative solutions to that. They attend the online group work that we deliver and consult with service users in those forums. But it is quite difficult, and we currently don't have the same level of recovery community that we would normally have in our sites, and that is we really miss that.
So finally, what do you see as the future for service user involvement for inclusion?
Oh, the future of service user involvement for inclusion. I don't think we can consult and involve service users in everything. I think it's too time consuming, and you would lack the quality. But I think we want to try and involve them in all the critical areas of what we do, particularly in terms of the development of our treatment tools and formats, in terms of our psychosocial interventions pathway, in terms of how staff are trained and supported, and for reps in terms of making sure that they're properly trained, properly supported, and that where it's appropriate, there's a pathway through and into volunteering and potentially in paid work with inclusion. And I think in that way, I think we can bring a lot of benefit to MPFT, but also add value to the services locally, and really provide great opportunities for reps to progress and become empowered. It's partly about the feedback that the person gives. It's partly about the impact that they have in improving services, but it also is about the impact on them. When you're a drug and alcohol user, quite often you are not respected in your local community or in your family. And this process of listening to people and co-producing services with people is also has an indirect therapeutic benefit to them in terms of the validity of their opinion and the validity of their contribution. And for me, that's ultimately what it's all about, is seeing people get better.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. I have Sharon Unsworth with me, the service user rep for Winchester Inclusion.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for joining us. So why did you get involved? What sort of spurred you to get involved with service user involvement, and what has it given you?
Right. I think initially I was invited when I saw a group of people sat around a table chatting. So I went along. I found it a very good point of contact for all of the people, all of the service users inside the building, and a good way of making new friends. It also allowed me to get to know the staff a bit better because they would jump into meetings per se. It was also very empowering in the fact that we were all together for one purpose, which was basically to get ourselves better. And I found that quite a powerful energy in the room, all working for one cause. I also like the fact that it didn't matter if some meetings you didn't want to talk because you weren't feeling that good. Just the fact that you were there was recognised. So there's no pressure put on you. It's also, social as well because, we bring in some food and a drink. The manager usually pops over and has a little chat. So that makes him more accessible, and you realise really that we're all there for one purpose, which is, to get better and for the staff, to aid us as much as they possibly can. So it was good. Yeah.
So it sounds like you feel listened to.
Yeah.
Do you feel that inclusion work in partnerships with their clients? Do you feel that there's a real sort of partnership working?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I do. Yeah, because it's then led me up to the regional and then the national, which is something you can take on when you become a service user rep.
Right. So that's just to clarify. So that's the regional service user rep forum and the national service user rep forum, which is, before lockdown was up in Stafford, but more recently has been online.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
You've represented inclusion and the clients at a number of different strategic level meetings. So not only have you been to the national forum up in Stafford, but you've also been to some strategic level meetings, some performance review meetings where actually inclusion senior staff meet up with Hampshire County Council representatives and Public Health England to see if they're actually attaining key performance indicators and doing what what the contract set out for them to do. So what's your experience been of these meetings, and have you felt listened to?
My experience for those meetings, again, I was invited. I've only actually been to 2 of those, and they're very, formal. But once again, I was doing Winchester City Council, and I just found them again very open, very much wanting to listen to what I had to say on the subject that was currently being discussed, and very transparent as well. Mm-hmm. So yes, and I think the team that I was present with definitely worked together. You could see that. So yes, and it's something that I possibly might like to go to more to. Definitely listen to. In fact, even asked my opinion in some stages. Yeah, so definitely, yeah.
And so you've had quite a lot of training that's been provided in your various roles, including as a service user rep. From inclusion. Has this helped support you in your role and give you the skills and confidence you've needed to actually carry out your role?
Yes, 100%, and it continues now, even though we're in lockdown. My supervisor's sending me new material to be trained on, so that you don't get in a rut. So you carry on, even in lockdown, which is excellent. Yeah. Loads of training, an abundance of training from certain areas as well, depending on what role I've dived into, I suppose. Yeah, taking a leap of faith it's good for you as well on a personal level to be challenged in recovery all the time as well. But you know, I can only speak for myself. You know, I needed to be challenged, and definitely inclusion and the staff have challenged me. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
Excellent. So it sounds like you've had quite a diverse experience. So hopefully you've been supported at the same time as being challenged, and that balance has been approached in the right manner.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I know now, you know that if I don't feel right, you know, I just send my supervisor a text, or, you know, I think at first initially in recovery, and I think a lot of people would say this, you don't want to reach out as well for whatever reason. You know, that's one of the biggest probably nuggets I've taken. It's okay to reach out to people and ask for help when you need it. So now I'm quite able.
Yeah, sounds like you've become more assertive as your recovery journey's gone on.
Well, I've been empowered, haven't I? Yeah. And also taught how to take ownership of myself, I suppose, but be balanced with it. Yeah, I've learned 100. I could write a book on it.
So do you feel that inclusion's done enough during lockdown to support service user reps and to support clients?
Yes, yeah, I do, but I do so with the knowledge that you know, all the support is there for every service user or client, but it's up to you to take that step or to make it happen. Which was the same when we weren't in lockdown and, you know, we were in the hub. It was up to you to go to that group, like it's up to you to go online, you know. So I think inclusion as a service has tried its damnedest, because again, I go to the national, so I know, you know, they're being rung weekly. You know, no, you couldn't ask, you know. I think brilliant. You've done all that you can do.
With me today, Tony Jones, who's a service user rep from the Isle of Wight. Welcome. So Tony has represented inclusion service users at a national, regional and local level, and he's been representing them for quite some time now. So he's well versed to give us a bit of information about what he's been up to and the difference it's made. So why did you get involved with service user involvement, and why are you so passionate about it?
I got involved in the service user program quite early on when I got involved with inclusion, and I've kind of seen it as an opportunity to kind of put my experience and, you know, the things that I've been through kind of into good practice. Yeah, and I'm quite passionate about it because there's quite visible kind of results from the whole process that I've seen. You know, different groups have been started. You know, different changes have been made to the whole service. You know, as a direct response to service users' kind of thoughts and feelings. So
brilliant.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Well, that's great to hear. So, so do you feel that service users within inclusion are listened to, and that this has led to effective change on the ground?
Yeah, definitely. You know, some of the meetings that I've had with Field Day Friday, we've had direct response from that. You know, we started groups up within days, obviously going through stuff, and you know, and that's the other thing. The staff are really receptive to the whole process. When you got them on board, then real good changes can be made and really quickly. And you know, I feel like we've got a real good team behind that. So, and the service users benefit immediately.
Excellent. Well, that's good to hear that things are actually changing. Because what we don't like is tokenism here at Inclusion. We don't like to just tick boxes for the sake of ticking boxes. It's good to see that actually there's meaningful involvement, and you know, all the way up the service user involvement ladder, right up to partnership working. Do you feel that you're working in partnership with the service? Have you been involved at every level?
I have been, yeah. So, you know, my involvement kind of it spans from like on the local level. I run the meetings, I get people involved. But behind the scenes to that, obviously I'm organising, I'm speaking to the staff, I'm trying to arrange and kind of keep in with that feedback loop. So while I'm trying to get things going, I'm going back to the service users and, you know, really making sure that everything that they need is kind of represented. And that goes all the way up to national level as well. You know, I've been consulted on, well, we have been consulted as a group on different aspects of, you know, outside organisations have been in to speak to us, like the eating disorders department from the hospital. They, you know, they wanted to set up their own service user thing, but I've gone back to the service users and kind of brought their voice to the table. So yeah, they do get represented on every single level for sure.
Good. So it sounds like there's good communication between you guys and the service users and the staff, and that actually, you know, not only do staff sit on the meetings, so that there's that two-way mechanism, but also you take things up to governance meetings, and then any decisions made you bring back to the forums. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. You know, a lot of the times we do have decisions. You know, we had involvement in writing the service user charter, and that spanned quite a few months of coming back to meetings on the island, kind of showing people, kind of getting a feel of how people felt about what was written down there, and taking it back up to people like Mark and whatever. And you know, there's a lot of to and fro, and yeah, they're definitely involved there. We don't like tokenism, and I really don't get that feeling with Mark. You know, he's really there to kind of make the service work for us, and not just the shareholders. Obviously, we're shareholders too, but not just the stockholders and people at the top end of the scale. So that's brilliant, yeah.
Brilliant, and it's great to hear that someone so high up in inclusion is really passionate about this stuff, because if someone high up at the head of the chain is really enthusiastic, then others follow suit, which is good to hear.
Well, even, you know, there's people like Grace Massanou, because she's really passionate. She's been really lovely to work with, and, you know, she's really encouraging, and, you know, yeah, she's really nice to work with. Even up to Danny Haynes, I've been sat in, you know, a hotel while we've been waiting to go into different meetings and stuff like that, and had really good chats with him, and like he's really behind the process as well. So, you know, the involvement from staff is from top to bottom. It's really awesome thing to see. Yeah.
Fantastic. Good to hear that you've got a good relationship with Danny Hames, the head of inclusion. Fantastic. So, Tony, I understand you've had some training recently over the last year or so on service, you know, how to support you in the service user rep role. Has that been useful, do you think, and given you the confidence and skills to carry out your role?
It really has bolstered a lot of my skills, and really kind of opened my eyes to what service user involvement really is. You know, looking into things like advocacy, how to actually represent people's views, and, you know, and to keep your own kind of personal opinion and your personal stance out of it, and just really look at what people want without being biased. That's kind of one of the main things I took from that. Really, it's about subtle, consistent change, and working well with your peers and, you know, the staff. It's about having a respectful, open relationship with people, and you don't get that by going in head first.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tony. And just lastly, how do you see the future of service user involvement within inclusion and your part within it?
I hope that it grows, and, you know, and at least gets maintained at the level it is right now, because I've seen it grow over the past 2 years, and it's got to a really amazing place. And not a great deal that I would change about the process right now. All we need to do is just bolster it and just make sure that we keep getting that flow of new people into the service user rep position. Mm-hmm. And yeah, definitely. That's the key, isn't it? It's getting the people that are passionate into that position and just keep it going.
I'm here with Doug Thompson, who's a service user rep from the Buckinghamshire service, who's come with us to share his experiences of being involved as a rep. So welcome, Doug. So first of all, I just want to ask, why are you so passionate about service user involvement, and what led to you getting involved?
I spent 35 years in the madness, ill basically, and the start of my treatment, which was obviously through one recovery, bucks and inclusion, it didn't give me my recovery. It shone a light on where I should be in life, and if I can give back something to someone and stop them from suffering the way that I suffered with for a long time, then it's made my journey worthwhile, and it's where I belong in life.
And do you feel that inclusion listens to you and listens to its service users?
Yes, I do. I mean, I'm new to it, but having sort of not long left the other side of the fence, I feel I have an awful lot to offer, from a sort of a raw experience. I think, if once you've got a few years of sobriety or clean time under your belt, you can become probably a bit disconnected from where it's actually happened. The sort of rawness and the remembrance of the pain has gone, and maybe a small piece of passion is gone. So I think for new blood to keep coming through the system is good.
Definitely. And do you feel that your viewpoints and the viewpoints of other reps and service users has led to effective change on the ground?
For me, being fairly new to it, I've put some points across from what I have noticed from where I'm sitting, and especially in today's climate with people being out there. And I know from my own personal experience, I've literally bumped into somebody who used to be my plumber, who's in a whole heap of pain and a sort of life's a mess. And thank you to sort of the system and my involvement with it, the guy's now back on track, and getting somewhere. So
fantastic.
Yes.
So do you feel that the training that you went through recently, the service user rep training, do you feel that that's given you the confidence and the skills to help in carrying out your role?
It's definitely given me a voice. It's helped me to feel like sort of somebody within sort of one recovery and inclusion, as opposed to just being someone that used to use. Yes, it definitely has.
Good, that's great. And what do you see as your evolving role in the future? Do you think you have a part to play going forward?
I hope so. I really do, because I would like to spend sort of my remaining years helping people not to be in the pain that I have been in since I was a child. I'm going to start studying psychology and counselling. That starts in October, and if I can maybe get to people before it becomes completely painful, that's really where I want to end up in life, is helping people with the pain, because generally with addiction, there's an underlying issue with all of us, and there's a common denominator. The drugs and the alcohol are just a byproduct of what we suffer with. So that's really where I want to be involved, is with the head.
Yeah, you have plenty to offer, and I wish you all the best in your ongoing journey. Thank you for joining us today, Doug.
Thank you.
Today I'm speaking to Karen Blair, who's a service user rep from Fareham Inclusion. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. I'm very glad you invited me.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. So yeah, I just wanted to speak a little bit about your experiences of being involved as a service user rep and as a client with inclusion over the past couple of years or so. So what has service user rep involvement brought to your life?
What it's brought to my life is a feeling of being useful again.
Yeah.
And sitting in kind of reception before I was a service users rep, seeing people come in and taking note of how they were suffering, really the same as we all have suffered, and thinking, do you know what, I think I could maybe be some help to these people. Excuse me, I'm just going to close something that's come up. And maybe be of some help by sharing my experiences with them and giving those people somebody that's they feel they might be able to talk to, and their voice can be heard. They can, depending on the client, depending how forthcoming they are prepared to be, and it has given me an insight into how things work and how I can actually help people by maybe just guiding them, not enforcing my opinion or anything like that, just guiding them in the right direction, giving them somebody to talk to, and also encouraging them to speak about the groups and you know, the feedback, as we know, is very important. I took on the role and I took it on very, very gladly, because I think if I can just pass on experiences and how inclusion has helped me recover, and that's helped me recover as well, because I feel then I've got a responsibility to these people and I can't let them down, and I can't let the hub down, and I won't let Mark down, and I won't let you down. And so it's like a domino effect. And it's given me it's given me a focus, actually, and a purpose.
Excellent. And you talked about feedback there and gaining feedback from your fellows. And do you feel that inclusion takes that feedback seriously? And have you seen change happen as a result?
I think they do take it seriously. I think change can sometimes be slow, depending on the amount of feedback that inclusion is getting. But yes, I do believe, speaking for my hub, that yes, it is taken seriously and people are listened to. And I have experience of that, of making my feelings felt and being listened to. Kelly and Mark, you know, they have listened and acted on that. So yes, I do feel confident. Change, I think that takes time, doesn't it? To change things. And but yeah, no, I'm quite confident. I'm very confident in the involvement that Fareham has with its clients and listening to them.
So yeah, it does sound like Kelly Pickard, the manager of the Fareham Hubs, listened to you, and the same with your key worker Mark Whittington. Sounds like they have taken you seriously. They've helped to nurture your experience. But as you say, change can sometimes be quite a long process, and things don't necessarily change overnight. But have there been any examples where the forum has come up with, or clients have come up with a proposal for change, and you've actually seen the results of that in the hub?
I think that groups have been tweaked.
Prior to lockdown, you'd started to attend the Hampshire Regional Forum, where obviously the 9 hubs across Hampshire inclusion come together.
That's right.
Hubs. However, that is still continuing online, and you have been an active member of the online groups. Do you feel inclusion have done enough during this lockdown period, where the hubs haven't been open in the same way for face-to-face interventions? Have we done enough to cater for the clients.
Absolutely. I think in general, the people I've spoken to, especially at Horizon, who go to different kinds of groups in different kinds of areas, because of course we've come together with Gosport, haven't we? I think that inclusion has done the best they could possibly do under the circumstances. And I haven't heard anything from anybody that says, well, there's not enough for me to attend, or there's not enough. I think there's plenty out there if people want to avail themselves of it. So I would say that, yeah, inclusion's done a really great job there.
So just for the purposes of letting the viewer know what we're talking about. So Karen's explaining different groups online. So the Horizon group is a group that is for people who are now abstinent, who are looking at the next steps. That's an online support group facilitated by a recovery worker. And the Service User Rep Forum is a forum where people come together to give feedback, and hopefully we look at improving the service. And Karen's an active member of both the local Gosport and Fareham forum as well as the regional forum, and has even come to the national forum as well. And I understand that you've had some training recently to try and help support you in your role as a service user rep of Fareham. Has this helped you, do you think? And has this given you the confidence and skills to carry out your role?
It has helped me a lot, because I now understand how the whole thing works from a higher level. Yeah. So I understand now where I can go to get help with my role, organisations that I can call on, organisations where funding is required, or things like that. So I understand that there's much more to the role than I first thought because of that training. I don't think I'll fulfill the whole thing entirely.
And that's the beauty of it. You can do as little or as much as you want to do.
That's right. And that's helped, because that takes a little bit of, oh, have I got to do all that, and I've got to do all that, and then the worry starts, but and it has given me more confidence, because when things do get back, if one day they will get back to groups opening up, I will have the confidence to sit in reception and see people that who's sitting there all nervous and don't know what to do, and it's maybe their first one-to-one with a key worker or whatever. And instead of thinking, oh, shall I or shan't I approach that person, I feel more confident now in knowing what I'm talking about. Definitely has helped me, and I'm glad I've done it. I'm really glad I've done it, because it's definitely given me more confidence and more knowledge of what I'm supposed to be doing.
Brilliant. That's music to my ears, Karen. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I wish you all the best in your ongoing journey. Thank you. And thank you for the help and support that you've given me through the meetings and through the training. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Simon.